Welcome to Tuesday's Floating Head Chronicle. Karen Read was back in court today. You got Yannetti, Little, Alessi, and Jackson was there as well. And we got to hear a little bit of their motions. So, of course, Hanky Pank, he wanted to talk about how Karen just did an interview and they want to be able to get all of the uncut video footage from that to review it. Granted, I figured that was going to happen when you put yourself out there. Of course, they want those raw, uncut things and just see if she implicates herself in any sort of way. So, yeah, the prosecution, of course, they're going to use that. Jackson went up and he made some claims of things. He said, hey, y'all showed us 3 different videos that Canton PD had when it came to the Sallyport, saying, hey, the first video that you guys sent us, there was no time on there or date. Second video that you guys sent us was inverted picture. We all saw that. Definitely should never happen. Now the third video shows Higgins outside of the Sallyport at 1:30 in the morning on the phone. That was never introduced in court the first time. So there's a lot of explaining that needs to happen here. Why is there 3 different video edits that are getting sent over? Also, who has access to these? Who has downloaded or looked at it? If it's on some sort of police server or held somewhere on a drive, there would be access that would have to, you'd be able to see all of that, the ins and outs, and be able to get that information, which would be able to help the defense. Then Little went up, and Little talked about the motions of obtaining all documentation that involves the wrongdoings in the Sandra Birchmore. Because as we know, Farewell was arrested and finally being charged for what happened to Sandra Birchmore. However, he was a police officer, and it shows these same exact officers that are witnesses in Karen's case that did all this improper investigation and closed case, didn't even do their due diligence, and allowed this officer to go free until the feds stepped in. Now, what are the odds that Proctor is a lead investigator and then he's a part of the Sandra Birchmore? Now, I loved how Buchanan was involved in the Sandra Birchmore case and stated that there was a couple messages going back and forth between Sandra and Farewell, and they said that, he was breaking it off with her, and she was obviously upset about it, so she unalived herself. No. A couple messages, there was like 30,000 messages between them both. That is more than just like casually seeing each other. And mind you, this girl was 13 when he started grooming her and inappropriately had relations with her as a child in the Explorer program in the police department. So these guys got a whole bunch of shady going on from day one, and Little is over here like, I want all the information on them. If they were going to cover up for one officer, why wouldn't they cover up for another? Especially one that they knew. You know, that of course here you're automatically throwing it at Karen. However, you've been known to do this. So let us see the information of all the things that you did wrong in that case, so we can show the parallels to our case. Makes 100% sense. Now, just a little backstory. This is exactly what happened with Karen. In case people are unaware, I don't know who doesn't know about Karen, but in case you don't, just a brief synopsis of what's going on. Her trial ended in a mistrial, and here we are. Although 6 people came forward from the first jury members and stated that they all were unanimous in not guilty. However, mistrial. And it shouldn't be right. So her attorneys are definitely fighting for the double jeopardy, because why? If the major charges, everybody said not guilty, and you didn't even look at that or analyze it, and now Karen is facing another 12 jury members, it's not right for sure. But I wanted to show you this portion too about the, they wanted forensically sound copy of the video surveillance footage of those 3 that I was talking about, saying that it was stored in a police officer's iCloud account. No, just access the metadata and then let people see who like maneuvered in and out, who downloaded, who looked at it, their timestamps, because obviously 3 different copies of this video exist, and the third one was never presented. So some splaining here needs to be done. That inverted one was so fucking weird. I don't even know why they thought that would have been a good idea. Like, police was backwards. They didn't think that the jury wasn't going to figure that out when they had to answer to why the video was inverted. Weirdest thing I've ever seen. But then it got a lot more interesting. So Mr. Hanky Pank, he starts talking about the ARCA experts, stating that yes, they were hired by the FBI. They were not hired by the defense. They were not hired by the prosecution. However, he did a little bit more deeper dive, he stated, and he had noticed that there was undisclosed communications between Alan Jackson and the ARCA members. And he's stating that they had been paid $23,000. Now, if that's true, that's a little crazy. I don't know why that would, that could really hurt Karen in this case if that was true. But again, we haven't seen any sort of factual documentation. It's just what he has provided. Where does this information come from? Where's the source? We like to see facts. And if that's the case, then would Jackson need to get his own attorney? And when were these messages sent? Was it sent after the trial was over? Or was it during the trial? Because so much just keeps coming up, right? We saw that Lally and Proctor were talking during the trial. How's that? Like, okay. There was a lot that was done incorrectly the first go round. And I am really upset that Karen has to go through this all over again. But I wanted you guys to see this video from Judge Cannoni, because when she was presented with this information, she stopped everything in its tracks and said, wait a second here, I've been presented this information, and we're going to have to come back to this because I need to do some digging. I want that information. I want what the feds had sent over. She wants to do a deeper dive on this information that was presented. And then everything was, again, rescheduled for another date.
Just provided the court with information that causes me grave concern. The implications of that information may have profound effects on this defense and defense counsel. So for that reason, I'm going to suspend today so that when we meet again to address these issues, all affected will be appropriately prepared. So I'll see you a week from today at 11 o'clock in the morning. You can tell me now if that is impossible for you.
That's a waste of tax dollars.
And where Mr. Brennan, where the federal authorities have been kind enough in the past to allow me to have copies of everything, would you be kind enough to call over there or check with whomever you were dealing with to see if I can in fact get a copy
we want facts,
everything that you just read?
I can, and there's a brief chronology I think Your Honor should be aware of. If I could add that right now, it would take me less than a minute. The chronology is December 4th, we sent another tour request, 2024. January 6th, we filed our notice of intention to exclude ARCA experts. January 30th, 2025, the United States Attorney's Office sent a response to both ours and the defense requests. Without any prompting, on February 6, 2025, the defense and the prosecution received an email from the U.S. Attorney's Office saying that the contract had ended with the ARCA experts and that if either party wanted to engage, the original materials are still protected. This was a change in position about whether a party could engage. On February 11th, we filed the motion to exclude. February 13th, the defense provided us the emails that I read. February 13th, 2025, I think I said the federal government. It was the defense. February 13th, 2025, they sent us the emails and the direct examination outline. we reached out to the federal government again because I was curious about the change in position on February